Okay, so today we will see about Spring MVC. Okay, and we will create a Spring MVC, a very basic Spring MVC. First, we'll create two programs. First, what it will do is it will just call some server. It will just call from JSP page, and the second one is we will pass some data to some controller in Spring, and we can do some kind of business logic there. Okay, so let me start with the basics of Spring MVC. I think you know about MVC, right?
Yeah,
So what is MVC
it's a model view controller base.
and what is model?
Model is basically the things, it is a logical view that we are handle as a programmatically in our classes
Okay,
and store in a database
yeah,
in physical format.
yeah. So model is nothing but it's considered to be like a database or data like that. Okay,
Yeah.
so view, what is view?
Basically view is the presentation way just for the input, like the HTML pages and all those
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
would be writing here.
Okay, so view can be like it can be a HTML page, it can be a JSP page, or like anything like JS page like that. Okay, and what is mean by controller?
Control is, where the request will be comes, that is controller basically.
Yeah, yeah. So it can actually handle the request. Okay, it will.
Yeah,
It can. Okay. So now actually the before going for Spring MVC, first we will just see the architecture of Spring MVC, and you can see this is the architecture where you can see something called view here, and you can see controller, and you can see something called model like that. And every request, for example, when you open www.google.com, so it will send you one HTTP request, right?
yeah.
So this will be the request you are sending to the Google server. Now actually Google server will get an incoming request, and it will process your request, and it will send back your response in the form of HTML, right?
Right.
Okay, so normally what happens is incoming request will be sent to something called as a front controller, which is like it's a predefined controller, we can say. So this predefined controller, what it can do is it can get the request, and it will process the request, and it will send to the controller. So controller is nothing but a business logic. Okay, where you can where the request will be performed, and it can perform some operation. And what happens is it will send the data in the form of model. Okay.
So I thought we can't say कि controller handle the business logic. We can say controller is help to serve the request.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah,
the handler we can
yeah,
say,
yeah,
because
yeah.
business logic and all those we will be writing at a service layer or otherwise at the DAO layer. Na find out.
Yeah. So controller, it will just pass the request to some service layer, and the service layer will pass the request to DAO like that. Okay. So
Yeah.
then actually the result will be we'll get some result, right? For example, assuming that you are having some index.jsp page, which actually if you call that JSP page, it will be like an incoming request. After that, you have to give some two numbers, and that will be forwarded to the front controller. The front controller will forward the request to controller. Controller will have service and DAO, so that it will process the input, and it will, what happens is after processing the result, you will get the result, right? So after getting the result, we have to display in a view, right? For example, in JSP pages. So what we will do is we will send the result into a model. The model, what you can do is we can add some attributes. For example, result will be the attribute which we can forward from controller to other things, like we can forward to front controller, or maybe front controller will forward to view, so that we will get the result, right?
Right.
Okay, so now what happens? Yeah,
Just a minute. Why we need the front end controller if we have already controller?
yeah, so that I will tell you.
Okay.
Like already So this controller,
Mm-hmm.
the orange color, actually it will actually differentiate, like there are two kind of request will be there. One is for requesting, for example what happens is, for example, when I type http dot like double slash some web page, maybe like this one. Okay, so what happens is, this is some request. Okay,
Yeah.
so this kind of request will be handled by the front controller.
Okay.
But if you pass some two values, for example, you are passing some values to from a JSP to a to add some two numbers, what it will do is, that kind of logic will be controlled by this controller.
So I just would like to add a thing, like if I'm saying okay, like I have a controller, fine. We are
Yeah.
just specify some URI path,
Okay.
and the second thing is that we are just telling that this is our HTML page.
Okay.
From the HTML, that I mean the view basically.
Yeah, yeah, view. This is the view actually. First, it will go to the view. Then it will actually, the front controller, what it will do is, first it will get the request and it will forward to corresponding view. The view gets the input from the user. Then again it forwards to the front controller. Again this front controller will there will be some list of controllers. For example, add controller, sub controller, multiplication controller, like that. This front controller, what it will do is, it will delegate the request. For example, you want a controller, you want to use a add controller. What JSP page it can do is, it will forward the request to the front controller. Now front controller will search for the list of controller which it has add controller. Then it will forward the request to the add controller. This front controller, it will just delegate a request. Okay.
So we can do the one thing. I thought like for the one week we can get one controller, fine. So
Yeah.
so in that scenario we don't need the front end controller. So
No, no, no. Actually, when you see the program, when we implement a program, you can able to understand what is mean
okay,
by front controller and what is mean by this controller and all. Okay.
let me differentiate by later.
Yeah, yeah. So what you do is, like, this front controller, you no need to code anything. Okay, because by default there is something called a dispatcher servlet. You see, there is something called dispatcher servlet, which will actually perform this kind of front control. Okay,
Okay.
so you just understand that using dispatcher controller, we will create a front controller. That means it's a predefined one.
Hmm.
Okay, so now actually, if I explain more theory, you will get confused. So now we'll directly go into the implementation part. But before that, you just understand that in Spring MVC you have something called front controller. The front controller is nothing but what? Dispatcher servlet. This will dispatch the request, and it will also give the response to the user. Okay, that is the purpose of dispatcher. Okay.
Okay.
So now actually we will go into some we'll directly go into programming part, so that I will explain you like what is front controller, how it is created, like. Okay, so now what we have to do is, we have to go to file, then you have to select new, then you have to select something called project, right? Now the same thing you have to do. We have to select Maven project, then we have to select finish. So next, then we have to give some name, like, oh, for example, you can give a Spring MVC demo, like that. Okay. Then again, I will give some group like artifact ID, like Spring MVC demo, like that. So if I click on next, it will create a file like that. Then I will create finish. Okay, so can you just remember that what are all the dependencies we have to give when we want to execute a simple Spring application?
Yeah, basically it's the first one is the Spring code, the second one is the Spring context, and the third one is the Spring Beat.
Yeah, yeah, very good. Actually, the next one is, what will be the outcome of the whole project? For example, we will. I forgot to tell you that this Spring MVC, we can, using Spring MVC, we can create a MVC model. Like, we will create a web application model, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, what will be the outcome of the web application? What will be the outcome? For example, when you compile some Java program, the output file, or it will convert that into a class file, right? Similarly, what will be the output, or what will be the final what will be the final thing we have to get for a web application?
For the web application.
Yeah, what will be the final thing? You have to deploy this into a server. What needs to be given to you so
It's
that you will
wood.
deploy? It's a war. So we have to add something called packaging.
Okay.
So packaging, it's war, right?
Yeah.
So that we need to add for creating a web application. Then we have to add something called dependencies.
Yeah.
So we have to add some old dependency. What is the old dependency? It's org dot spring framework. Then we have to add spring core, right?
Okay, I have just one question. Okay, like, I know it's a very basic question, but somehow I am just stuck on that.
Okay.
In case of war,
Hmm.
uh, why we don't need war here? Because we are using some HTML pages for the view purpose and we like for JSP pages and all those.
Yeah. So normally what happens is we are not going to just run HTML page alone. If you need to just run like that, you can copy that HTML, you can paste it in desktop, you can
Hmm.
directly right click and open with Internet Explorer, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we need to deploy this in somewhere in some kind of server, right?
Okay.
So what we are going to do is we are going to create a war file and we are
Hmm.
going to deploy in some server application.
So we
So
can just a minute. So we can do in the earlier project as well. We just create the war and we can deploy as well. Like in case of we have done the normal. What was that?
no. Yeah, that kind of thing is not possible because
Mm.
we don't have something called like JSP, or we have to follow some structure in web application, right?
So that's why I'm saying, like in case of web application, we have basically need the JSP and the HTML page and all those. That's
Yeah, those files will be there. So only we can deploy. Similarly, we have to follow some structure.
okay.
So that we will see. So first we will add a basic dependency, right? So what is the next dependency?
Uh, what do you have done? Spring code. That is
Yeah.
Spring text.
Yeah. So spring beans, we can say, okay, we'll go in order. So what is the purpose of the spring beans? So this will allow us to create a bean ID,
Bean
like,
ID and
yeah, like
basically.
that. Okay. So the
Mm.
next one is for the
Spring
application
code.
context, we will use something called context, right?
Right. If you use the Spring context in that scenario.
Yeah, but we won't use that. But we will just try with that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So next we have to add one more thing is we have to make this project to be a Spring MVC project. For that you have to select org.framework. Then you have to select Spring MVC. Okay,
Okay.
Spring Web MVC, right?
Right.
So next, actually we have to add two more dependency.
Hey, just a minute.
Yeah.
We had had the Spring context because in case of our main application, we need the class path example. Fine. For that purpose, we need the Spring context now.
Yes, but we won't use that kind of thing because
Mm-hmm.
we are not going to use something called public static void main here. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
use that, we can use that maybe. But all the web application, it will be deployed in the server.
Yeah.
If it is deployed, it won't work like public static void. We will just check with that. Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll just delete this after some time and we'll just check whether we need a context or not and all. Okay.
So why we need the Spring Web MVC to create the model view type structure? That's why.
Yeah. So to create a web that is MVC, Spring MVC, we have to use the Spring thing. So
Okay.
that the thing will be added like MVC. You see the web MVC thing will be added. Okay. So now
Okay.
two more thing we have to add, right?
Right.
So we have to now what I said is we have something called this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have something called this front controller. Okay,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
front controller is actually what dispatcher servlet, right?
Okay.
So we have to import servlet also.
Okay.
So org dot spring MVC, then servlet like that. Oh, sorry, it's not mm, it's not spring. It's
Mm.
not spring. We have to add something called servlet, right?
Java Xerox service.
Yeah. Okay, and also for view we have to add what? So we have added servlet, and for the view, what we have to add?
For the view, what we have need to add? Don't know.
It's a JSP, right?
Okay, actually, this is comes in my mind, but I thought it like JSP.
Yeah, so you just select JSP and that's it.
Okay, fine.
That's it.
JSP. Okay. So I have one question.
Yeah.
What is dispatcher servlet? I'm not able to recall that. Can you please elaborate it?
No, I will tell you like when, like how we will use that. Okay, when you see the program, you will understand.
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
sure.
this for to implement the dispatch servlet, we need to use this servlet.
Okay.
Okay, so you just think like dispatcher servlet is like for getting only HTTP request and response. That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll create that. Okay, so now normally basically you will have in a src folder you will have something called main test, something like that, right?
Right.
Okay, now inside main you will have something called java resources like that.
Yeah.
Now we need to create some web, we need to we need to place some web modules here.
What modules?
We need to create a JSP page and we should not place that in Java file, right?
Yeah, it will be in resources.
Yeah.
Always.
No, it won't be in the resources. Normally in the resources, we will put some configuration files like that.
So we will create a separate view mode,
Yeah. What you'll do is you just right click
and
this
create a new
main
directory. Yeah. For
and you create something called a new directory, and there you have to create something called a web app.
web app. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, web app. Yeah.
Yeah, so actually this is the structure we have to follow. Actually inside the web app we have to use one more folder called web hyphen inf.
I.
Okay, actually we will do in in a normal servlet and JSP programs, right?
Yeah.
So inside this webinf, we will create another directory called maybe for view. So view is the folder that contains all the JSP files.
Yeah. Hey, I have one question, Arjun.
Yeah,
Actually, I thought we have a predefined structure that was provided by the IntelliJ directly using a web application. I thought.
yeah, we can do that, but
Hmm.
you will not. But what my thing is, I will do everything by myself. That will be the thing. Actually, we can directly do that. The IDE will itself will be generating everything, right?
Hmm.
But I want to like I will do my kind of style is I will just create everything so that if I teach someone I will just understand like how it's going like that.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay, so first what is the step inside main, like main inside we have to create a folder called web app. Inside web app you have to create another folder called web hyphen inf. Inside that you have to create a view, right?
Right.
Now, inside WebINF, we need to create two XML file. Already we have seen one XML file in Spring Core. What is that?
What?
Already we have seen one XML file.
Yeah. So basically, it is just where it is configuration file
Yeah,
where
yeah.
just creating.
Where you can,
Yeah,
you'll have
yeah.
some beans, right?
Right. Is an XML configuration file, and there was a option for that.
Yeah, yeah. So first we have to maybe
Yeah,
we have
Spring
to add
config.
config. Okay. So now we will
Yeah.
add Spring config. Okay. So it is added. Now I'm going to add later all the configuration things I will add later. Okay. Now
Okay.
one more thing we have to create. Normally, in a web application, all the
Mhm.
related informations will be stored in a XML file called a
Yeah.
deployment descriptor file. What is the name of the file? Can you guess?
Deploy descriptor file. एक मिनट. I am not able to recall that
It
file.
starts with W.
W then just one more word.
Inside.
Web.xml.
Yeah. It's web.xml. Now, like I said, here the front controller is what? It's a servlet dispatcher, right?
Right.
So we have to create, we have to just create some like kind of servlet dispatcher so that so that the incoming request will be delegated to other controllers with the help of this one.
Okay.
Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to create a web.xml file, and we are going to configure this front controller.
Okay.
Okay, what is the front controller? What is the name of the front controller?
Dispatcher servlet.
Yeah, so we are going to create a dispatcher servlet. So normally, what are the things will be there in web.xml? Can you just guess?
I thought
Assume there is a servlet. Okay, assume there is a servlet, and when you compile a servlet, what it will happen is it will convert that into a class file, right?
right.
Then you have to also add something like when it has to be called like that. For example, if you take a web.xml for a servlet. Okay, one second. So what happen is, assume that you are going to run a control servlet, right? Assume no need to go for control. Assume you are going to your servlet. What you are going to create is you are going to create something called add servlet. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Right.
you have to name some. You have to give some name for the servlet, and you have to specify the path of this class in which the servlet belongs, right?
Yeah. Right.
Then you have to also specify that using some URL pattern. In, for example, normally you will put a forward slash. For example, you need to call a servlet. For example, here instead of star.html, if you put slash add, what it will do is when you perform slash add, it will call the servlet and it will perform some addition operation, right?
Yeah. Right.
This is the servlet actually.
Mm.
So that likewise, we are going to create this front controller, which is a dispatcher servlet, right?
Right.
So that for that we are going to write a code. So first you have to use open XML. So this and all everything it will be created by the ID itself. But the thing is we have to understand. So then we have to create something called web app. Okay.
Okay.
So what it will do, just I will just create a web app. That's it. I'm not going to I'm going to create a web app.
Okay.
I'm not going to create like this. Okay.
Okay.
So first, what we have to do is we have to create something called display name. It is just a name. For example,
Okay.
MVC like that. It is just a
Okay.
display name.
Okay.
Then, like I said, we have to create what? We have to create a configuration for the front controller, right?
Right.
So this will be like a servlet. So inside servlet, each servlet will have servlet name
Yeah.
and what? Servlet class, right?
Class.
Servlet class. So servlet name, I can create something called dispatcher, or you can create Anita like that. It's up to your wish. I'm just creating a name called dispatcher,
Dispatcher. Yeah.
and I'm going to use this front controller. Front controller is what? Dispatcher
Dispatcher
servlet.
servlet.
So this dispatcher servlet, it's actually a servlet. It comes under something called package spring framework web servlet dispatcher servlet.
Okay.
It's a predefined servlet. We are just going to perform something like delegation of request.
Okay.
Okay, and what happened is we are going to now my question, I'm going to ask you the question, like all the incoming requests will be taken care of by the dispatcher servlet for some delegation.
Yeah.
To where it will delegate?
Obvious in controller.
Okay, so where the controller where you have put, where normally you will put all the controller configurations?
Controller configuration where we put basically every controller is dedicated to one class, basically to a particular.
Yeah. Normally, so no, you just forget about the annotation, where
Mm,
you will you just map all the controllers, like where you will do. So normally we'll do in Spring config, right?
yeah.
So for that, so
Both the
here we
file.
have to uh, here we have to pass a parameter for this controller. So this dispatcher servlet, it's a servlet which will take care of the incoming as well as the outgoing request, and also it will forward the request to the existing controllers which is configured in spring-config, right?
Right.
So we have to pass two things. One is param name, and another one is param value. Sorry, param name and param value, right?
Right.
So now in this param name we have to specify the location. So there is a predefined param name called context config location. Okay, so
It
it's a
can be
predefined.
anything, no?
No, you should not change because it's a
Okay.
predefined variable.
Okay.
So we have to specify the value here. Value is nothing but where you will identify spring config inside web hyphen inf, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So we have to put slash web hyphen inf slash spring hyphen config dot xml. So for first program alone we are doing everything manually. So for the second program and all we'll just copy paste this web.xml, right? So
Okay. Okay.
I'm just explaining like how it is working.
Okay.
Okay, can you able to understand this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now by default we are going to load this thing like on startup. So when it starts within a like when you if you put a one on loading the servlet, it will the dispatcher servlet will be called and it will take care of the delegation of request. Okay,
Okay.
now after servlet we have to create new thing like servlet mapping.
Okay.
So I will tell you what servlet mapping will do is, so servlet mapping will have same name like servlet name.
Mm-hmm.
Servlet name already we have used it like dispatcher. Okay, so
Okay.
this dispatcher where when it will call.
It will be cool at first time, yeah.
Yeah. So
We,
you have to specify some pattern, right?
yeah, it may be the home, it may be the slash.
Yeah, that's it, slash.
Okay, slash. Fine.
Okay, so this is all about web.xml. I will just repeat it again. To
Mm-hmm.
create a front controller, we're
Mm-hmm.
just creating this kind of thing, dispatcher servlet, which is a predefined one, and we are giving our own name like dispatcher.
Okay.
And this dispatcher will delegate the controller, right? So we are
Right.
going to pass we are going to pass this value into this context config location. What it will do is the dispatcher servlet is just a boss like that. Okay, under that
Okay.
there will be like something like 10 controllers which is specified in spring config. So dispatcher servlet will identify which controller to call and which controller to delegate the work.
Okay.
And this load on start, it's just to start, and we will call this dispatcher when we run the server, right?
Right.
Okay. Now we are going to now we have did some 50 percentage of our work. Okay. Now
Okay.
what we have to do is this Spring MVC automatically will not identify where the JSP will be.
Okay.
So to make that, we have to add one thing called bean here. This is also a predefined one. So that
Okay.
is we have to add something called bean class. Bean class equal to org dot spring mv spring web spring framework dot web dot servlet dot view. For view we have to select view dot internal resource view resolver. This is a predefined one. Why
Okay.
we are giving is we are
Mm-hmm.
going to give where our JSP file is located. Okay,
Okay. Okay. Fine.
our spring config file is located inside web hyphen inf.
Yeah.
Where is our JSP file will be located? Inside view.
Okay. Okay.
So for example, when suppose you are requesting for something, some JSP called sample.jsp,
Mm-hmm.
what it will happen is it will call the request like web inside it has to identify inside that view. It will just check for web INF. Inside that, it will check for something called view. Then inside that, it will just check for sample.jsp. Okay.
Yeah.
So it can be like any JSP, not like sample, or it can be a login.jsp. It can be anything. Okay. So
Okay.
this part is said to be a prefix. Okay.
Okay.
And this .jsp is said to be suffix.
Okay.
So we have to specify the prefix and suffix using
Yeah.
property. So
Okay.
property name equal to prefix,
Mm.
and value equal to, just you have to put forward
Web.
slash web hyphen
I.
inf
Mm.
slash, and we have to put a slash.
Yeah.
If you don't put a slash, what it will happen is it will call like this. So
Yeah.
it will just check for view sample.jsp inside web inf. So it won't work. So
Okay.
we have to put like this. Okay. Next
Okay.
one is, we have to add one more thing, like property name equal to suffix and
Mm.
value equal to just
Mhm.
star dot JSP. Like it can be any JSP file.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it. So we have completed configuring the Spring config.
Okay.
Okay, can you able to understand? I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
we
totally understand.
okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to just call a JSP program using some controller. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to just right click and I'm going to select JSP file. Okay. For example, I'm going to create like, uh, for example, hello.jsp.
Mhm.
Okay. So in hello.jsp, I will just call welcome page, like that, welcome page. So inside body, it will call h1 welcome to JSP. Okay. This is a JSP file which is located inside view, right?
Right.
I'm going to call this hello.jsp and I'm going to print welcome to JSP. For that, we have to create a controller here in Java.
Yeah, I have actually one question.
Yeah.
Why you declaring the view configuration, I mean the internal view resource inside the Spring config instead of web.xml?
Yeah. The thing is,
Mm-hmm.
in web.xml, we can able to just configure a dispatch servlet alone. There is no other, like we can just configure only the servlets in web.xml. But in
Okay.
Spring config, we can configure all the classes which we can use
Okay, okay, okay. The
inside
views
that.
and the classes. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
because we already seen bean id class like that, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
now I'm going to create some package in Java, inside Java. So just to differentiate. So for example, I'm going to give org dot sample dot, maybe I can put a demo like that. Okay.
Okay.
So now I'm going to create a controller. It is right click and select Java file. For
Okay.
example, I'm going to create a welcome controller.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Now, how will you convert this class into a controller?
Annotation at the rate control or something like that.
Yeah, that's it. So we will call controller, right?
Right.
And uh, for example, you should add one more thing, like request mapping.
Yeah.
So the purpose of request mapping is, this controller will be called if we use something called this pattern forward slash
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
So now why we are putting this resource mapping is, this kind of dispatcher servlet, right?
Right.
The dispatcher servlet, we have only one controller called welcome controller. Okay.
Hmm.
We have
Hmm.
something like 10 controller, like welcome controller, login controller, register controller, like that. So to
Okay.
differentiate the controller, we have to just specify the request mapping followed by the pattern. This is pattern actually.
Okay.
Okay. So now what we will do is, we'll just create some method public string, for
Mm-hmm.
example, welcome, some name like that.
Okay.
So this will return, actually it will return just something like hello. So at the background, what it will do is it will return hello.jsp, because we set the internal resource view resolver as what .jsp. So it will return hello.jsp like that.
Okay.
Now here also you can put some request mapping if you want. If you don't want to put, you just put a forward slash. Okay, that means whenever forward slash start is called, it will call hello.jsp.
Okay. So
Like that.
okay, just a minute. Uh, when our method is called for a particular request on a particular request mapping,
Yeah.
so basically we need to give the view name, basically on which view it will be delegated to that request. Fine.
Yeah, yeah.
So it should be the same name as the view name. Like here hello.jsp, we need to give an here hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That actually it is up to you. Like if you want to use hello.jsp, you can. If you want to use some other thing, like you can just change that.
No. I'm just thinking like if I'm using hello.jsp, so in that case, the name of the JSP, the name of the JSP file should be the same as I had called on a particular controller method. Fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now we'll just configure this thing, right?
All
So
right.
we have to edit configuration. We have to click
Mm.
on plus.
Mm.
Then we have to come down. We have to select Tomcat server. We have to select
Mm.
local.
Okay.
And what happens is we have to specify the path, like I have already installed the Tomcat 9.0, so it shows Tomcat 9.0, and by default it will like use a support number 8080 like that. One more thing we have to do, you have to click on deployment, and we have to click on this plus, and there is something called artifact.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is we have to deploy this war file into the servlet, right? So we have
Right.
to use the second one. Click on
Hey,
this.
why the second one, not the first one?
So the thing is, like, if you put actually what the thing is, if you put a Spring MVC demo, what it will do is it will just put the war file in the servlet, it will not run.
Okay.
But if you put exploded, what it will do is it will deploy that in a server, and it will execute the server.
Okay.
Okay, so just you have to select apply, and you have to select OK.
Okay.
Now I'm going to start this server. So
Okay.
I'm just click on run. So it will take some time.
Okay. So when it is run, I have some question. Like if I had installed that, okay, fine. So I need to add some configuration here directly. Nothing more than this.
Yeah, nothing more than. Maybe
Okay.
I can do it for you also. Maybe for the next time I will do.
I will do. No issue.
Okay. So you just download the zip file of the Tomcat. You place it in some D drive. You have to just go like when you configure, you have to just go to the browse thing, and you have to just select the Apache Tomcat. That's it. So now you see by default it's like localhost 8080 will be there, but you are not getting that JSP file. Now how
No,
will you get the
slash.
JSP file?
You will give the pass slash something. What it
Start,
is?
right?
Start. Yeah. Start.
But oh, it's not starting. We have
Why?
given start, right? Yeah, start. Why it's not running? Maybe there will be some
No mapping found for UD.
dispatcher is there. Okay, maybe just okay. I will stop the server and then again start it. Start it. Yeah, the browser will automatically open.
Okay.
Okay, just start. No, it's not running. I don't know. Like I will just check. Okay. Why we are creating the Spring config? We have to give some
We have
information
to give
about
some. Okay. Okay.
like a controller. We have to give some like where the controller is, right?
Right.
So how will you do that? There is a
Okay.
shortcut. There is, how will you do that here?
So before that we are using some bean ID and all those. I don't know how to
Yeah,
create
so we have to use components.
control. Oh, components
So we
can.
have to just give a
Mm.
thing like org.sample dot
Yeah. As we had done earlier. So,
demo. Okay,
yeah,
that's
sure.
it. So now actually this this line will take care of everything. It will scan all the controller or component.
Control.
Okay,
Okay.
now
Okay.
actually we can just modify this into a slash request mapping. Now it will work. Okay, so now start. Oh, okay, so we have to put on slash because you
We
see
are using the
slash.
selection.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's it. So you'll get welcome.jsp. Now tell me like what happens here.
Here.
Yeah,
Yeah, because in that case, it's not able to find any
yeah.
controller.
So here in this
Dispatcher
case,
server will work.
you see the URL pattern is slash, right?
Right.
So now the dispatcher servlet is ready to use.
Hmm.
Okay. Now it is ready to use and it will just wait for the request.
Yeah.
Now we are giving a request. So
Hmm.
slash start. Okay.
Okay.
And when I press enter, what will happen is this dispatcher servlet will get the request and it will check
Mm-hmm.
for the controllers, right?
Right.
With a pattern dot forward start, then forward slash. So now it will identify this controller and it will delegate the request to this controller.
Yeah.
And what is the delegation? What will be the outcome? The outcome will be hello.jsp.
JSP.
So now if I press enter, what it will happen in the background, the dispatcher servlet will call this pattern dot start, dot forward slash start is a controller. After that, dot forward slash is a method. Like we have created a request mapping forward slash. So it will call this view welcome dot. So welcome to JSP. That is a JSP file.
Yeah.
Okay. Any doubt in that?
No.
So why it has to be like that? We can just directly create a web app and inside that we can put a hello.jsp like that, right? Why we need to separate this JSP? Why we need to call this with the help of controller like that?
Can you repeat your question again, please?
Now my question is, you can directly create a web app folder. You can just like that, you can put all the JSP files like here into it. And you can put the first name as index.jsp so that index file will be called, and like that consequently it will call all other files.
So suppose you want to suppose your first your welcome control have two methods like the welcome and the second one is the login.
Okay.
So in that scenario, you need the two other JSP now. So if you make
No, that my question is, okay,
mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
my question is, you are assuming that you have for example, I will just show you. I think I have yeah, so you can directly go here and you
Mm-hmm.
can create folder, for example some hello folder. Inside that you can directly create JSP file here, right?
Right.
And if you call for example localhost colon 8080 slash hello slash, if you put slash, that what it will happen is it will call the JSP file, right?
Right.
It will call, there won't be any problem into it. Why we are going for this kind of uh, this kind of configuration? Why?
Which one type of configuration?
Yeah, this kind of why we are going for this kind of configuration? Why we are using controller to call the JSP file?
Suppose like if I give some example ki, mm, You have two different scenarios. Like first of all, you want to log in, then you want to show the
Yeah,
one user is login, and then its profile and all those things. And
yeah.
that's
The thing is,
it.
you can see there is something called web Spring web flow, like web flow, right?
Right.
We can enable the web flow with the help of this frameworks like Spring MVC struts JSF, like that. If you
Hmm.
don't enable the web flow, what happens is if you create a folder and if you put all the JSP files into it, you can
Hmm.
directly call, for example, login.jsp directly. You can
Hmm.
directly call any JSP file.
Hmm.
Suppose if the JSP file is vulnerable, what they can do is they can just directly they can go to home.jsp page without login.jsp page, right?
Right.
So to handle all these kind of issues, we are just separating everything.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now, like, can you understand the architecture? Now tell me where the front controller is here. Where is the front controller?
It's inside the web.xml, that is
Wow,
just
very good, very good. So what is the front controller name?
a dispatcher servlet.
Wow, excellent. And what? Where is the controller?
It's inside the web controller, like OR
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah,
welcome
yeah,
controller.
yeah. Where is the model?
We don't use air model any.
Wow, great. And where is this JSP file?
It's
Sorry, view
inside the
file.
view. It's inside the view.
Wow, excellent. So now we are going to use model file, right?
Right.
We are going to use a model. For example, we are going to, instead of just putting simply welcome to JSP, what we are
Mm-hmm.
going to do is we are going to get two number. We are going
Mm-hmm.
to pass the two number to the controller, for example, welcome controller. And
Mm-hmm.
using model, we are going to forward that model into some other JSP file called display.jsp file. Okay.
Okay.
Shall we do that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now what we have to do is just first we have to open hello.jsp file and we just create something called form, right? Before that, we'll just create a template inside the welcome controller. So request when this add method should call, you just tell me some pattern.
Slash add.
So slash add. So now dispatcher, how the dispatcher will identify forward slash start slash add, right?
Slash add. Yeah.
Now we just use public.
Hey, Arun,
Yeah,
I need just 2 minutes. I want to wear my sweater. Actually, I am feeling very cold. Actually, I'm just outside of my room.
yeah, sure, sure, sure.
Yeah, just 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Now let me start.
So now again it will forward, normally it will forward to a JSP file, right? So
Right.
public string add, like that. Okay.
Okay.
So now what we are going to do is we have just created this. It will
Okay.
just return something called display.jsp. Sorry, just it's display. It will the internal the resolver, it will do everything
Hmm.
for us. Okay.
Okay.
Just it's a add method and we didn't pass any parameter. Okay. We are going to it is just a partial code. We are going to
Okay.
do that. Okay. So
Okay.
in welcome.jsp, how will you create a form? How will you
Uh,
create, it's like form, right?
Form tag. Yeah.
Action equal to
Some action that you hello just you have to web in.
form form method equal to post, or you
Hmm.
can use get also. Then
Hmm.
action equal to
Hmm.
I think it should come automatically. It will come automatically here. If you create add method,
Mm-hmm.
if you okay, if you use forward slash one, right, it should come automatically like add like that, but why it's not showing, I don't know. Okay, so add will be there, and it's telling that it can't resolve. Maybe we'll just check. Okay, so
Okay.
action, what it will do is it will just go to sorry, it's mistake. So forward slash start slash add.
Add.
Okay, actually it will be shown directly. I don't know why it's not showing.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll just check. So first I'm going to give enter number one. Okay,
Okay.
so input type equal to text. Okay, I will just identify this element by name. Okay, so name equal to one, like that.
Okay.
First, or you can put f number. F number is for first number.
Okay.
So I'm going to use br tag for the next line. Then I can give something called second number. So input type equal to text. Then name equal to what? S number. S number is for second number.
Okay.
Then br tag. Then we have to give something called input type equal to submit, right?
Right.
Okay. So now what it will happen is when we call the hello.jsp file, it will get the two input and it will forward to add starts slash add, right? So
Right.
it will call this thing. And
Okay.
what are the values we are passing? We are passing f number and s number, right?
Right.
So we have to specify, we have to pass the method, we have to pass the variable as the argument here.
Okay.
So we have to use something called request param. For the first, the parameter name is what? F number.
F number.
And what will be the type? It will be the type of integer a, right?
Interest. ठीक है.
Then again request param will be there. And what is the second name? It's s
Is
number.
S number.
Then we have to give int b.
Yeah.
Here the next parameter which I am going to give is model.
Okay.
The reason is I'm going to pass this into a view controller, right?
Right.
So I'm going to use this model. I'm going to use this object model to pass the value. Now I will just check why it's not showing. I don't know. It's telling that cannot resolve. Maybe if I run, maybe it will. Okay. So now what will be the result? So int c is equal to a plus b, right?
Right.
So what I will do is I will create something called model, or the object that is model dot add attribute, which will have two things. One is the name. For example, I'm specifying the name sum, and
Okay.
I'm going to pass the value as c.
Okay.
And what it will do is it will pass this model sum into JS into this display. If I call the sum, what it will happen is it will display the c.
Okay. I have one question.
Yeah.
Suppose I also want to put these A and B also inside this model attribute.
Yeah,
So,
you have to create one more model.
okay, okay. One more model inside that model will directly add like model dot add attribute.
Yeah, not here, only here.
Okay, okay. Add attribute and A and B, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have to create display.jsp here. So right click, select display. Now in display, you can put the sum is like there. You can put anywhere like sum is. I want to print that sum. Okay. So what you do is you have to put dollar, then open close curly bracket, and followed by the model. The model is what? Sum, right?
Right.
Now here in the body also you can put the sum is, sorry, in Angular I think you will put double curly bracket, right? So here you have to put dollar, something similar to string interpolation, right?
Right.
Okay, now why it's not showing it? It will be shown. Maybe if I execute, think there is some dependency problem. I think you will just check.
Okay.
Doesn't
So,
show any.
so the model object will be directly accessible inside the view, no?
Yeah, because we are
From
passing,
the
we are returning that JSP class, so that will happen. So now just use start. It's calling the JSP file and giving 10, 20. If I give submit, the sum is 30. Okay, but why it's not showing here? I don't know. We are getting the correct result, but it should show automatically here. But why it's not?
Yes, some that issue I would not face in our cases also. Sometimes IntelliJ to detect something, it's not working properly.
Okay, then why it's IntelliJ, intelligent J like that. Can you understand what is model? Now we have all this thing, right? We have
Right.
we have in the controller we handled some request. We create the
It's
using
just,
the
it's just a minute.
yeah.
The model object is directly accessible inside the controller and the view. No? It is like here.
Yeah, actually the thing is at the background the front controller will take the model and it will send to the view.
Okay, front controller. So I have just one question.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, fine, fine, fine. I understand.
Okay. So this is all about a simple MVC framework. Okay. Any doubt in this?
No, today I don't have any doubt.
Okay.
See, I totally understand.
So what you can do is you can also specify method here. Method equal to I think something called HTTP. Uh, it's request. No, I think there will be something. Maybe wait. If you want to like there we use post method, post thing, right, in form.
So it is inside the, I think, request something method, not HTTP request method, something, the last one.
Yeah, I think it will be in value http request dot
Dot post something. This one, dot.
not no, it's not.
No, no, no. It's a class, no?
Method equal to um, mm, uh, wait a minute. Method equal to, there will be something, but it's not mandatory because if you use request mapping, we can actually directly use, but you should know about this. Wait, I'll just check. Wait a minute. Just check. I'm just searching for my projects. I didn't use it. Wait a minute. Mm, okay. It's a method actually. Method equal to request method. Okay, you see request method dot you can give post.
Okay.
But if you give directly here also it's not a problem.
I
But if you want to give, there is a one more option like the request mapping you can directly give as post mapping also, like that.
Okay.
Like that if you can also give.
Okay.
But when you use request mapping it will automatically takes the thing. Okay, so any doubt up to this? Because
No, no.
so
Everything is clear.
everything is clear, so shall I ask questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so what is internally in Spring MVC there is a servlet class which will take care of the front controller. What is that?
Dispatcher servlet.
Wow, very good. And this dispatcher servlet will reside in a package. What is the package? Just can you just guess that? Yeah.
Web to XML file.
No, no. The it is the class it will be located in some package, right? We just give
Okay,
some
okay,
whole
okay, okay,
package.
okay. Oh, okay, okay, okay. It reside into the Java Xcode servlet.
Um, no, it's org.servlet.web.servlet.
Mm.
Okay, write that.
Okay, okay, okay. It's a very
Then,
servlet.
uh,
The servlet. Okay, fine.
okay, okay. So next one is,
Mm.
what is the purpose of internal resource view resolver?
Internal resource. What was this? Internal
Internal
resource.
resource view resolver.
So basically, it will be help to find out the which one JSP will be called on which controller.
Yeah. So it has two things like prefix and suffix. For
Prefix.
example, if you explore this, you will see plenty of
Mm.
things, prefix and suffix. Okay.
Okay.
So that value will,
I have one question here.
yeah.
Don't close that file. Actually, sometime some people, some experienced people,
Ah,
what they are doing, they are just like download the resource and they are just using the libraries method
okay.
and the way of writing the code is similarly like to the libraries. I have people in my company, in my team similarly.
Yeah, that the reason is, uh, you know
Just
the
a minute. Just a minute. How they are able just to understand that library file and they will be using that library file function inside their class. How they will be communicating. I am also trying all those things. But
okay.
some little bit I am just aware and how
No,
to.
no, actually they are not using directly. For example, how I
Mm,
can say, for example, here, if you say,
mm, mm-hmm,
for example, like string name equal to new string, yeah, the okay.
mm,
So you see, there is, if you open that, there is
mm-hmm,
some, like, for example, let me check for some sort kind of thing. Sorry, for example, uh, uh, concat. Okay.
mm-hmm.
So string concat, what actually it will do, it will combine two strings, right?
Right.
So if they want to write their own code for string concatenation, they will just copy this and they will just paste that in the logic.
Mm-hmm.
That means why
Okay.
they are doing this, the kind of thing is, there are
Mm.
so many people, this kind of software is developed by, there are so many algorithms, they just checked with so many algorithms and they found this kind of implementation is best actually.
Okay.
So even the developers, for example, if they want to create some hash value for a class, they will just
Mm-hmm.
create. They will just call this. Now you know how the hash code is generated for every object. What, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if they want to develop for some other, for example, they are creating some object, they want to generate some hash value. Okay, not hash code.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the best logic to use.
Okay.
So they will just copy this code and they will just put there in the code, and they won't use hash code. They will use some other name. For
Okay.
example, instead of public int hash code, they will use public int hash or encrypt, like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They put the logic that was
Yeah,
inside.
logic. Why they are putting the logic? Because this kind of logic is a best logic, which is developed by many people, and it was found that this logic is the best one.
Okay.
So
Fine.
they put that actually.
Okay. Next question.
Uh, I forgot the question. Okay. Suppose I
Sorry.
want to send some result, okay, from the controller towards view.
Controller two. Okay.
How we can do that? How it
But
is achievable, and what will be the background thing? What will happen at the background?
so basically, we will use the model,
Yeah.
the first answer,
Yeah.
and how the things will happen. Suppose from the view we taking the input. Fine.
Okay. Okay.
So view will be giving that particular बोले तो request to
Okay.
our front end controller.
Okay.
Our front end controller give that request to our controller.
Hmm.
Now the controller gives that request to our basically on again to view that
Okay.
response, not the request, that response basically.
Okay. So now, like I said before, in
Hmm.
pom.xml, I'm just going to delete this context and let me check with that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because it will reduce some jar files into it. I'm just running this. Let me check with that. I think it will work, right?
It's don't create.
No, it will work.
Okay, it's okay. Okay.
It's calling that. So start slash. Okay. Okay, so that will work actually. So no need for context.
Okay.
Why we need context actually? If we use class path application context, we can use context, but there is no class path, and also we'll check for other things also maybe.
Okay.
So bean we should use. Why?
Sorry.
Bean we should use. Why?
So we are declaring the Spring config.xml
Yeah,
file
yeah, because we are using bean.
being class the
So
internal resource.
yeah.
Mm.
So I think we are also using context, but let me check with the external file. I think even if you delete, what happen is the Spring core has it's related with the context, right? So it will install everything for us. Even if you delete that context, so it will create a core, then beans, context, then AOP like that. So we'll see everything there. Okay. So I think that's all about today. I think you understood well, right?
Right. Hey, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
It's a personal, but can I?
Yeah, yeah. Shall I stop record?
Yeah, you can stop the recording.
Wait, wait.